You're probably thinking this is clickbait, as there couldn't possibly be one single thing that will improve all your landings. Because if there was, all pilots would be doing it, right? Well, there is one single trick that will improve all your landings, and no, not all pilots are doing it. What's up everyone, I'm a private pilot and aviation enthusiast, and this is Let's Go Aviate. Landing an airplane can be a complex affair, even in the most easy to fly airplanes. You want the wing of the airplane to run out of lift or energy the exact moment the main wheels touch the runway. Simple in theory, but as most student pilots have discovered, in practice it can be tricky. Even experienced pilots every now and again seem unable to nail a landing, especially when they fail to follow one simple rule. There are many things one can do to set yourself up for a good and safe landing that I won't cover in this video, but this one thing will stop you bouncing landings or floating in ground effect forever. That one thing is correct final approach speed. There's a rule of thumb that says that for every second you float in ground effect after flaring, you have 1 knot of excess airspeed. For every second you float, you are 1 knot too fast on final approach.
I'm no scientist, so don't quote me on this.
To understand why airplanes bounce on landing, one thing first needs to be understood. Contrary to what a lot of people think, airplanes' landing gear doesn't actually have a lot of mechanical bounce in them. Watch a couple of videos of airplanes' landing gear being drop tested. You'll see that they don't actually bounce all that much. Also watch a couple of videos of extremely hard landings which results in 0 bounce, and ask why some hard landings results in airplanes bouncing and why some don't. Here are some generally bad landings, but you'll see virtually no bouncing because the touchdown speed wasn't excessive. In reality, what you're seeing when an airplane bounces is not a mechanical bounce caused by the landing gear, but an aerodynamic bounce or an aerodynamic lifting of the airplane. The aerodynamic bounce is caused by the increasing angle of attack of the wing, which increases lift. At first, the plane keeps dropping down because the vertical rate of descent exceeds the amount of lift being produced. But when the airplane hits the ground, the vertical rate of descent is stopped, and suddenly the amount of lift being produced exceeds the vertical rate of descent. As a result, the airplane jumps into the air again. Maybe you were too fast, or maybe you didn't flare enough, but either way, this problem gets fixed back on final approach by flying the correct approach speed. When you lower your approach speed, the increase in angle of attack when flaring actually stalls most of the wing. That sounds dangerous, but is exactly what you want to happen with the wheels an inch or two above the ground. Even when going down hard, it won't cause a bounce because the wing is in a stalled condition and doesn't produce enough lift to start flying again. So then, how fast should you approach for landing? In flight school, you may have been taught to add 5 knots for the instructor or passenger, 5 knots for the wind, and another 5 knots for good measure. But this will make you way too fast on final approach. You will float in ground effect forever, and every second you float, you not only risk running out of runway, but you are in the worst possible attitude to correct for wind gusts, and in general the chances are great that it will not be a good landing. The best way to find the correct approach speed for your airplane is by using VREF, or reference final approach speed. That is your airplane's stall speed in landing configuration times 1.3. Doing the calculation, you might be surprised by just how much too fast you have been approaching all this time. Here are some examples of correct approach speed for popular airplanes. Cessna 172N full flap stall speed is 44 knots, so VREF would be 57 knots. Cirrus SR22 full flap stall speed is 59 knots, so VREF is 77 knots. Don't use these numbers, check your own aircraft's POH to calculate VREF, but it should give you an idea if you may have been approaching too fast or not. One thing to note about the practice of adding additional speed for a passenger or fuel and baggage is if you use the landing configuration stall speed as stated in your aircraft's POH, that number usually already takes that weight into account. The published landing configuration stall speed are usually for max all-up weight unless stated otherwise. So no need to add additional speed for passengers, fuel or baggage. But do add speed for wind gusts. Most pilots seem to add half the gust factor to the approach speed, but no need to add any more additional speed for good measure. In fact, you can lower your approach speed when flying solo or with little fuel and baggage, but make sure you know the actual stall speed in landing configuration for that weight and calculate VREF from there. And if you're wondering what else you can do to become a better pilot, check out this video next.